my co-hosts, Nick and Lila. Nick a Brick and Delilah. Hopefully their snores won't affect the video too much. Hello and welcome to Life in Surround. This is my Father's Day special for 2019. This channel is making connections with lots of surround enthusiasts out there. To date, we even have some converts, people who have either commented on one of my social media like Facebook or Twitter or Quadraphonic Quad where I hang out, saying that they had just set up a home theater system to check out some surround titles that they already had in their collection, and mind blown, convert, created, system upgrades in progress. So that's a good sign. I'm having a good time, and as I alluded to, the connections that can be made by sharing this hobby. That's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about the fathers in my life and fatherhood, and how music can be a wonderful part of that, the kind of gift that keeps on giving and can help connect people, including fathers and sons. So I want to begin by talking about my father. And for those of you out there wondering why I go by Edison online, it is short for Eddie's son. Anyway, growing up I heard this album a lot. I believe my dad had it on cassette and we would play it in his old primered, raised Ford F-250 Custom called Spot. That's how I remember it anyway. Or maybe it was on hi-fi in the living room, but I definitely heard Running on Empty plenty. Songs got stuck in my head, and not even just the hits like Running on Empty, but more of the like trucker songs, like Shaky Town, Nothing But Time, roadie songs like The Loadout. And I know that I've caught my dad more than once around the house singing Stay, The Loadout and Stay. It's just a super fun album. It does remind me of a lot of my childhood, growing up in Central Valley, stopping at truck stops. And my dad had some trucker friends. I remember being up in the cab of a big rig when I was a kid and learning how truckers like have beds in there, they'll sleep in their cab. And you really have to be committed to the road if that's how you make your living, and that's what this album is about. Jackson Browne nails the experience of being on the road, not only as a trucker or a roadie, but also as a touring musician. So I love this album. It will forever be a favorite of mine. The 5.1 expands it nicely. The 5.1 does nothing wrong. It has discreet, somewhat adventurous placement of certain parts. If you like this album in stereo, the 5.1 can only do good things for you. And Dad, if you ever want to come over and sit down and have a glass of wine or a beer and check this out with me, or some other favorite albums as well, you're invited. Alright? And I love you, and happy Father's Day. I know you're out on the road right now. So it's just fitting that we're talking about this album today, and I hope you enjoyed this video if you get a chance to watch. Alright, so moving on. I would be remiss on Father's Day to not talk about a very dear man in my life who unfortunately is now departed. But my stepdad, Rich, was just a great man and a very loving father. And a lot of who I am obviously is from my father, Edward, but a lot of who I am can also be directly traced to Rich. And I'm sad that he's not with me, and he only experienced the very beginning of my obsession into surround when I built my first surround system coming back from an army deployment. I needed something to do just in my spare time to not go crazy while I was trying to get used to being a civilian again. I decided to build a surround system because I had a couple of surround albums in my collection, sort of by accident. They were just extra discs. So I built it, and I even configured it improperly, but it still blew my mind. It still got the job done. And so, Rich, I appreciate you being there for that, and the brief good times that we were able to have. If he were still around, I know that he would have loved to see the day when Dutton Vocalion released this Chet Atkins double album. I'm enjoying the heck out of it. Rich, it makes me think of you, and so I'm very grateful for that. I think he also would have really dug this Poco double album, also by Dutton, because it's got that country twinge, and he really did like country music a lot. You know, a funny story about him, one of his favorite performers, Johnny Cash, was at the fairgrounds nearby when I was a kid, and I think we missed that show because his ornery stepson was not really that much into music at the time, and especially not country music or kind of old people's music. So I think he graciously hung around the petting zoo with me instead of going to see that, but I think I recall hearing it in the background, and Rich did some Johnny Cash covers a cappella for me, demonstrating how deep and powerful his voice was. And many years later I got into Johnny Cash, so you never know the seeds that you plant. And he would have loved to have sat around and listened to Live at Folsom Prison with me on SACD, but I've long since sold that just because it's not spectacular in surround. But he also took me to the symphony, and I know that he would have loved this Bartok album, The Miraculous Mandarin, also by Dutton Vocalion. Now, I don't want my memories of Rich to be a Dutton Vocalion commercial, so I also know he would have dug this Alison Krauss and Union Station New Favorite disc. This is just astoundingly beautiful. Alison has a wonderful voice, and she's a great fiddle player and plays with a top-notch band. The band that did the music for Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? So anyway, Rich, I miss you, and proud to say that you've definitely left good marks on this life, and I think that's about all that anybody could ask for. So let's move on to my living stepfather, try to make things a little bit more positive. You can go back in my past videos and check out the review that we did together of the White Album. That was super fun to review the mono, the stereo, and the new 5.1 all compared to each other, and to get his memories, to get his impression of the music and the sonics. So I encourage you to go back and check out that video. In fact, I'll link it in the description. But I know that for future enjoyment, he's expressed interest in listening to How the West Was Won with me. I gotta say, I'm fully willing to do that. Let's maybe pick some selections of favorite songs and kind of get through it quicker than the full running time. It's just not spectacular in surround. I think one song does stand out where Jimmy Page is doing the violin bow playing. Is that Whole Lotta Love, maybe? Anyway, I like this. It sounds super great, so I appreciate it sonically. It just doesn't knock your socks off in surround. But I think you said you're also in for Electric Ladyland by Jimi Hendrix, and I need to give this another listen soon. This may not be a knocked out of the park perfect mix, but it definitely is interesting. It's done by Eddie Kramer, Hendrix' original engineer on the project, and it definitely does open up the album and cause me to appreciate some tracks that I didn't before. So this is going to be a fantastic journey, and Frank, maybe you can join me for that. I would sure love that. But regardless, we have planned sometime soon to do a day of Eric Clapton in surround to celebrate going to see Clapton soon. which will be my first, and I'm just thrilled. And here we see my Clapton and Surround collection behind me. I know that I'm missing a couple of DTS CDs, but if I recall correctly, I have those either on Blu-ray or SACD. Can somebody let me know if I am missing any notable Clapton in Surround? I should have put my Crossroads Festival Blu-rays and DVDs up there, but I forgot. I'll have to listen through the Clapton sections and see if there's any discrete, important musical info in the Surrounds, and if so, they might get included. So then let's move on to music that I hope to share with my son over the years. Because I want to give the gift of music to him and see where he wants to go musically with his tastes, but I definitely look forward to rocking Temple of the Dog with him and other albums in Surround that feature Chris Cornell, like Super Unknown and Bad Motorfinger. And hey, I hope that more albums with Chris Cornell can receive a Surround release. Some Audio Slave, some more Soundgarden, even some Chris Cornell solo. So if anybody out there is watching and wonders if there's a market for Chris Cornell and Surround, there is. I love this mix. I love this album. I love the live material that comes with it. At least one of the shows is pristine. Some of the live clips on here are really just archival and they're not worth revisiting a whole bunch, but Ronan, I look forward to rocking this with you sometime, and I hope you like it. If you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. Other gems, like Katatonia, The Great Cold Distance. This is the 10th anniversary edition, and in the second attempt at a 5.1 mix, Bruce Sword absolutely nails it. In addition, the Surround DVD also comes with the entire album live with an orchestra mostly mixed to the rears with the band in front. I love this 5.1 DVD. This book is actually pretty great too. Like, features a lot of the band artwork in red and black like this. So I look forward to blasting this with my son, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully he'll like it. In addition to favorite studio stuff, I hope to show him how cool it can be to listen to a lot of live material that has discrete stuff in the Surrounds. Big Big Train, Stone and Steel. This is awesome. It's like the early days of Genesis reborn, with really great songwriting, excellent musicianship, excellent vocals. So I guess it's like early Genesis, but a little bit more refined and developed. I really, 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 really love this. Big Big Train, Stone and Steel, discreet, live, proggy, wonderful music. Another discreet live album, Porcupine Tree, Anesthetize. Awesome stuff, mixed by Steven Wilson. And, as I recently reviewed, UK, Night After Night, another discreet live album. It's not like I'm only going to listen to stuff with him that has discrete stuff going on in the Surrounds, because that's not the only thing that's important about music. But I definitely look forward to sharing my passion for Surround music with my kiddo. And we'll see if he gets it or if he doesn't. And either way, that's okay. This journey through discovering wonderful Surround music has been wonderful for me. And as I've tried to demonstrate, it has provided a connection for me with the men in my life. My dad, my stepdad, departed, my stepdad, who's here with us, and hopefully a connection to my son over the years. That's about all that I had planned to say. In case you're wondering what those sound effects are, to my right, your left, let's take a moment to say hello to Nick a Brick, and Delilah, my two co-hosts for today. I also enjoy being their daddy. So that's all for now. I want to wish all of you daddies out there, or prospective daddies, a happy Father's Day, happy listening. I hope you are surrounded by love, and in that way and in many other ways, you're able to live life in surround.